Hello, it's been a fucking while, hasn't it? And so what's happened? I don't remember what happened the last time I spoke to you, or the time before that. So, well, from what I remember, I think Jamie was the next one to compete. Did fantastic. We hit the total he wanted, so we're back to his best total, his previous best total, of 680 as an 83. There was still like some kilos spare, which there wasn't previously, and we're really happy with it. So the next one for him, he got the national qualifying total, the Open national qualifying total in Britain, and we're thinking, we're going to put a name forward. Hopefully he gets an invite to that. Otherwise, probably something around a similar time of the year, November, December time. Might be Super Training Christmas Classic. Who competed after that? Or should I go into the competition itself? So All England Opens. I'm going to go on it briefly in case I've already mentioned this before in a previous video, but it was pretty well ran. Like, the atmosphere was really good compared to other All Englands, specifically Masters. Masters Nationals venue was quite big, therefore the platform was far away from the spectators. There wasn't many spectators anyway, so having lots of seats just made it seem really empty. And having the room be really big, again, made it seem really empty. There was quite a lack of atmosphere, which is a common theme in the UK in terms of lack of atmosphere, where people only cheer for their friends, which I think is just ridiculous. But when we went to Open All Englands, there was far more atmosphere, even though there was probably the same amount of people. They were all just in a smaller room, therefore it got a bit more exciting. The warm-up room was very big, 4 racks, 2 deadlift platforms, but only enough plates for like 2 racks really, especially if you're looking at people squatting, opening with like 250 squats, which was basically anyone in the 93s plus. So not too ideal there. And then with 2 deadlift platforms, you're obviously hoping that there aren't huge flights, because if there's a flight of say 14 and then you've got to share 2 platforms, that's 7 on each, which you really need to be rattling through warm-ups then and probably making adjustments on the fly of 1 plate, 2 plate, 3 plate, potentially even going straight to the 4th plate and getting ready to go. So that was a slight disappointment in terms of the lack of plates, but loads of racks. It was just disproportionate. I've not seen that before. The other thing was that they did have a set of 50 kilo Ivanko plates, which was really bloody cool to see. They were nice and green and they had the little grooves to pick them up with. But that was exciting. That was probably the best thing that they had there. After that was... what was after that? Let me just check. All England's... then British Juniors, yes. So that All England Open was on the 9th, British Juniors was on the 14th. That was when Laura competed. She was set for a huge total. We fell short of like the absolute goal, but we still hit total PB. We still hit the Open Nationals qualifying total as a junior, which is awesome, in the 63s. We also made weight as a 63, so we've not done that. We've done it once before, so to do it again was really really good from her. Like, the discipline she put in, following the protocol. We did a water and a gut cut, so that probably explains why the performance wasn't really where we're expecting it to be. But the other thing was there was a lack of jury, so there was a few 2-to-1 calls where I would have still gone to the jury and at least asked, but that wasn't even an option, so that was quite annoying for both of us. It was our last squat, I think I remember, and our last bench that I would have asked about. Our last deadlift we missed on strength, which, it was already quite a tiring day. There were some calls that she wasn't very happy with, and having cut so much leading into it, again, the strength probably wasn't there. The other thing was a very small flight. I think there was maybe 7 So you've essentially got about 5 minutes between your deadlift attempts, which isn't a huge amount of time on comp day, but realistically I don't program longer than 5 minute rests in the gym, so, but we don't also max out. So. But no, she still did really well. Again, hit the Open Nationals qualifying total, hit huge total PB. I think we opened, or our second squat was already a PB, which is really cool. I think we matched her best bench, and then we went for a deadlift that would push her up the ranks, I think it was. So I don't think we got a deadlift PB, but we were pretty close to it, or we matched what we did last time. Can't remember. But I think she did had a really good day, and she composed herself really well when there was some calls not going in her favour to stay in the game and continue. A lot of people I know would just stop, quit, walk out. There was actually a guy at All England's Open who did that. He did his opening squat, I think it was fine. He then didn't get his next attempt in time, so they only put it up 2.5. So he did that, and then he put in his third attempt, and then one of the side spots took it early. So I think he went to the jury too late to ask for a fourth attempt, and they were like no, and so he just went home, didn't even carry on with the rest of the event, which is not really the athlete mentality of someone who's going to get very far. Like, he was a really strong guy, but you can't just be strong in sport. Like, you look at any other sport, you have athletes that will be athletically gifted, they will be talented, they will have the best skill set, they will work so hard, but if they haven't got the mental capacity to accept defeat or roll with the punches, then they're not going to get to that top level, because you always have to fail at some point. You can't just win and stack up all these wins and expect to get to the top. Like, there's always going to be some little Chinese 4-year-old that's stronger than you, and you have to accept that at some point. And if you can't just go back, work, or just carry on, then yeah, you're just not going to get very far, I don't think. So, you know, like, Laura did really well there in terms of carrying on. After Laura competed at Junior Nats, I had a little break. There was plenty of time for me to do some videos, but I haven't. Yeah, it was Masters Nats, which was last weekend, so that's where I had the same women as All England Nats compete again. So we had Rosh and we had Diane. Rosh came second, which is the highest she's ever placed. She was M2 under 63, and Diane came third, M3 84 plus. So Rosh has gone up an age group from last year, and Diane has stayed in the same, but she competed against completely different people. Both of them, again, a little bit turbulent start, and a testament to both of them, with like really high stressful externals going into the comp, like a lot of personal stuff happening, and then still being able to show up on comp day, perform as well as they could, manage themselves around less than ideal calls. Luckily there was a jury at this event, so we could challenge, but then also the jury was there to challenge the referee's decisions. So it was, who was first? Diane was first. So Diane, it was only literally the weekend gone, but I barely remember what bloody happened. She was obviously very concerned about squats because of her knee, which is doing quite well for someone who needs surgery on it. But from memory, we may have missed the first squat, retook it, went up for our second, but that could be a complete lie because I don't remember. So she was concerned about that. She got through it. She did really well. It wasn't like a squat PB, but we did squat more, like far more than previously. I remember lowering her opening squat to help her feel more comfortable, and we still ended up roughly where I wanted to. Then bench press, so she has a birth defect where she can't straighten out her elbow, which is one of the rules in powerlifting. To get the start command, your elbows must be straight on bench press. What she was told previously is to go to the referees and explain, physically can't, so bear that in mind. It's as straight as it can be, which again isn't strictly within the rules. So she went to do that this time on her opener, which we raised because I asked, I planned her to do 52 to 52 and a half for her third, and I was like, sure, fuck it, let's aim for 55, have fun with this, because I'm confident with the first two, and regardless we'll probably end up at the same number, and at best we'll end up with 55. So yeah, she went up to the centre ref, and the ref on, I think it's her left arm actually, I don't remember, but whichever side, so there's three refs, one in the middle, one either side, the referee on the same side as her elbow, she was like, oh, this, and she went, oh, tell the centre ref. So she goes and tells the centre ref. The centre ref walked over to the jury and then came back and was like, I don't care, basically. So Diane went over to the jury and they went, you're running out of time because you only get a minute to get the start command for bench press. And she'd already spent about 30 seconds trying to explain to these people, can't straighten her elbow. Then someone from the crowd comes over and is like, no, I've told you before, you shouldn't tell them about this, they won't notice, which is a very strange thing to say, because the referees are supposed to look out for the fact that your elbows are straight or not. So she ends up timing out of her opener because she's trying to explain this problem, and previously we've done this and they've gone, alright, cool, fine. But here they were like, no, don't care. But she went to British Nationals last year and told them, and they went, okay, and they considered it and they took it, so, which she won last year. So it doesn't really make sense to any of us what the right course of action is. The plan next time she competes is to not say anything, and we're going to work on ways to have her elbow appear more straight, because that's the rules. The only other option really would be to go to a different federation if she wanted to, but she likes this one, and everyone's at this one. This is where everyone's really good and competitive and is lifting the most, so it only makes sense she wants to compete against the best lifters. After bench press we had deadlifts, and she absolutely smoked it. It was ridiculous. She did her last deadlift and I just thought, damn, should have put more on, but that is the way. She finished on a 317.5 kilo total, which is the first time she's gone over 300 in quite a while, maybe since last nationals actually. So last nationals she got 320, this time it's 317. There was definitely another 2.5 on her deadlift. I'd say we would have definitely finished higher on her bench press if we hadn't have missed our opportunity to take off the opener. She then retook it for her second, and they gave her red lights for her elbow, which was obvious. She was then obviously really concerned going into our third, which we kept the weight the same because she just pressed it. It was fine. I didn't want anything to happen in terms of mentality of like, right, now I've got to think about, can I even lift this, as well as I've got to focus on making my elbow appear straight. But she did get her start command, she did press it, she did get 3 white lights, and it was a wonderful time. It was fantastic. We were both really happy because I was fucking shitting myself going into that last bench thinking, cool, we've gone through what we thought was the stressful lift, which is squat. Turns out bench was the stressful lift. What are we doing? Because I was also trying to, look at all the numbers, because I wanted her to come as high as possible on the podium, which I got her as high as we could have done on the day. Yeah, it was a little bit stressful on Saturday morning, and then Saturday afternoon rolls around and Rosh is competing, which Rosh is quite a whirlwind person. Someone described her as a butterfly. So if you watch a butterfly flying over like a meadow of flowers, she will see one and go, oh, what's that? And then she'll turn around on her way to that one and go, oh, but this one's, you know. So that's kind of her when she goes into a room full of people that she knows and has spoken to on Instagram. She will see such and such person, speak to them. She'll be on her way to come back to me, and then she'll go, oh, but this, and then she'll suddenly disappear to the toilet. So just managing her into like getting her to be in the right space at the right time. She wants me to definitely tell everybody that she's better than she was. She used to be far worse and was more of maybe a bumblebee and going to these different places a bit faster. At least now she was a bit slower going to the places. She went to a few less places. That's why she's now a butterfly, and I could catch her on her way to things and get her back to where she needed to be. Her squats, she missed her opener, which was on depth, but the jury overturned it, which was really weird and annoying because the refs gave her one red light. So I'm there writing down her second attempt. I was like, cool. I then hand it in. I'm looking at the jury because I can see them all crowding around the screen. One of them gave me a thumbs up and was like, yep, no problem. So I handed in the second attempt. Then it comes up, overturned. I was like, what do you mean? You just said it was fine. Clearly the other two didn't think it was fine. So then we retook our opener. She was fine with it, just needed to sit down a bit deeper. Then, again, this is where I wanted to get like quite a big PB. This is where I really wanted to push her squats because we haven't done it for a while. And because we missed the opener, we took smaller jumps and we finished on 120, which is something she missed in her last comp for not hitting depth. So like the fact she's done that now is grand. Bench press was a breeze. She's there doing, I mean, we finished on 65, which is something she hasn't done as an under 63 before, but it flew. I was like, shit, I'm a great coach. That was amazing. But she's also a great athlete in terms of all the work she's put in. And she came off that and was like, oh, I really want to do 67. I was like, yeah, if I knew 65 was going to be that quick, probably would have done it for your second attempt. So that was wonderful. And then we are going into deadlifts. The rest of the day was pretty fine. It was just that jury decision at the start, which was a bit disorientating, I would say. We come into deadlifts. Everything's going fine. Openers, moving grand. Second attempt, moving, well, she missed 150 as her last heavy in training. We did 152 as a second. It was fine. And then I'm like, right, well, I know she wants the record of this age group and weight class for the Southwest, which she had to go over 155. So we couldn't match it. We can't chip it because we're at a national event and it's a regional record. So we would have, if I was focused on getting her the record, I would have done 157. But I went for 160 because that would be her PB in this weight class. I believe, yeah, in this weight class, because I'm pretty sure she's done 157.5 before as this weight class, but as an M1, not an M2. But we missed that. We missed 160. It was just simply a bit too heavy. It looked to me like she was going to fall backwards, but she didn't feel like that, which is fine. But yeah, there was a little bit of twisting, a little bit of turning, so it was just simply a little bit too heavy, a little bit too much. And that's how that went on Saturday. So that was Saturday afternoon. I'm then handling for Henry Tosh on Sunday morning. So I'm handling his lifter Sarah, who I train with because I train in his gym. And she had an easy enough day. Again, she's throwing some curveballs in there. Opener, fine, 100 kilo squat. Second attempt, 107. Something she's already done in training. And this lady doesn't hold much tension in the bottom of her squat. Therefore, she just goes kind of loose and sinks it like mad, and there's never been an issue with depth. She decided on a second attempt squat to not hit depth. Everyone was confused. What are you doing, Sarah? She went, it didn't feel right, I just wanted to stand up. That's cool, take a breath, we'll go out for the last one. And she realised she was just rushing everything. So she took her time, nailed it on her third. Happy days, comp PB. Then we go into bench press, and this is where I really start forgetting what Sarah did, because she was not the most stressful thing of that flight. What happened was Rima, who came second in the M163s, her coach doesn't have the coaching license, therefore couldn't be around the back handling her. Guess who got given Rima to handle? Me, this guy. She was far more stressful to handle, just because I had to actually pay attention on what other people were doing. Sarah, it was fine. I think she came 5th overall, which is awesome for her first nationals and her second ever full power comp. But it was very much a case of from Henry's instructions, these are the attempts, she's got no problems, and she had no problems. Bench, every attempt was fine. Deadlifts, every attempt was fine. She came away with a nice big total PB. I think it was maybe like 20 kilos total PB. Wonderful. Rima, she took 2 national records, and then we were also competing against Catherine and Hannah. Hannah has dominated the weight class for a very long time. I believe Catherine has basically come second to Hannah repeatedly, and Rima has been second or third. I think like Catherine and Rima have been like swapping second and third for a while, so it's always been incredibly close between them all. I don't know Rima very well as a lifter. I was just handed this athlete who went to the toilet at the start of the day and showed up magically. So she was in the second flight with Sarah, and I like to time the warm-ups based on the flight beforehand. She showed up halfway through the second round of squats for the A flight, and she's in the B flight. So I would have liked to have done at least maybe like half of her warm-ups by that point. No, then she shows up because her coach is like, where is she? Oh, I don't know. So yeah, then she shows up, so we have to rattle through all of her warm-ups for squats. She then tells me she wants a squat record on her second attempt. I'm like, cool, what the hell is that? It was 160 or 160.5. She opens with 155, I think. We do 161 after that. She gets the record. Wonderful. Comes back and goes, what do you think I've got left in me? I'm like, I don't know you, in the nicest way. I haven't a clue. That could have been max effort for you. I don't know. And she's like, oh, right. And then she just starts talking in tongues and like does some mental maths in her head, whilst we only have a minute to put this attempt in, which I don't know what it's going to be. And she's like, 165.5. I'm like, right, okay. Why? She's like, because I want the chip. I'm like, you have a chip, which means being half a kilo, because you can only make 2.5 kilo jumps. Unless you're taking a record, then you can take any jump that is at least half a kilo. And that is what a chip is. So if you have half a kilo, it means nobody can match you unless they also get a record. She was already the lightest, so having a record and a chip didn't really make a difference. Having a record does, because it's a record, like that's something special. So us having a chip didn't make too much sense, but she wanted it. She already had it, but she wanted another one. Anyway, I was like, okay, cool. You think you've got that? You're the lifter. You know what you can do. I write that down, hand that in. She goes and does it. She only bloody extends the record. It's crazy. And then we I go and try and debrief with her coach, and her coach is just like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, I wouldn't have put that in. I didn't think she had that in her. I was like, well, you're not here. And she said she could. So I'm going to go with what the lifter says. He's like, well, you know, I didn't want her to gas herself out before deadlifts, which is a fair thing to say. Depending on how, I mean, she said she didn't have to cut too much, so I wasn't too worried about how well she could sustain herself. I was making sure everyone was eating and drinking enough throughout the competition, because dehydration is something that really decreases performance. So then I'm like, cool, well, I'm going to try and avoid that kind of mistake again. And I ask him, where's her bench at? What's the top end here, so I don't go past it from your perspective? He says, and he shows me this video where she benched 102 on the Tuesday before. I was like, cool, I'm going to hard cap this lady at 102.5, so it allows her to go past that, but it also means that we stay something close to what she's already done. She already has the bench record. So we open at, I think it was like 97.5. We jump to 101, which is a new record. She gets it, wonderful. And then I said to her, look, hard capping you 102.5. We're not going past that. What do you want in between here and there? She's like 102. Cool. I've seen a video of you do that very recently. Should be fine. Put that in. Unfortunately, we miss it. I noticed some differences between when she benched 101 and when she benched 102.5 on her third. So I think there was just a little bit of what the powerlifters love to call a misgroove. I think she touched a little bit lower than normal, therefore the bar pass was a bit off. And if that's not on point, it's just not going to happen. So at this point, we're sat, I think it was like 9 kilos ahead. After everyone gets their opening deadlift, about 9 kilos ahead of everyone else. I'm like, cool. They have to deadlift at least 10 kilo more than us. Wonderful. But Hannah has a huge deadlift. Unfortunately, by this point, honestly, Catherine was out of the race. She missed her last squat and she missed her second and her third bench on strength. So she only was at her opening bench and her second squat. So where she would have been very close, she was now quite far behind, unfortunately. So I was able to kind of stop looking at her numbers because her deadlift was also very similar to ours. Meaning, like, even if she got her third, it wasn't, which she did do, which was amazing, it wasn't close enough to worry about us coming second or third, or dropping down to third. It was now a case of, like, keep Hannah away from us. Unfortunately, Hannah has got the deadlift record, which was 198.5 or something. Great, so this lady's got a huge pull, and we don't. Because I asked the coach, and he's like, nah, terrible deadlift, no more than 175. Great. So we do our opener, Hannah does her opener, fine. We do our second, Hannah does her second. Hannah's deadlift looked very difficult. Hannah's second looked so hard off the floor, and I put a placeholder in for us. I put the 175 in. I was like, right, see what they do. They obviously put a deadlift in to beat us. I was like, that's 12 kilo over what she's just done for her second. I don't think she's even got 10, and I don't want us to miss. So I drop our third to 172.5. We go and do it. Rima absolutely smokes it. I was like, shit, should have left 175 in, because that would have made Hannah deadlift more kilos. Hannah comes out for her third, fights it off the ground, locks it out. I was like, bollocks. Equally though, I feel that even if she had 2.5 more on that bar, that lady would have pulled it. After the comp, I found out that Hannah missed 145 the week out. Ridiculous, crazy. Great work from her coach. She was injured, they tapered well, enough recovery and probably painkillers to get her through that. Amazing. I also find out that Rima missed 172 in training, and she was super happy with the day. She came second by a kilo. Hannah won by a kilo. Rima got best lifter in the M1s in the female category because she was so much lighter that she got a higher GL point score. Amazing. So I've helped Rima get that. Quite a stressful Saturday morning. So then I went home and went to sleep. Well, the cabin in the woods that we were staying in, but still. That is where we're at so far. There's a recap of everything in half an hour. Who's next? What have we got going on? I'm going to a wedding next weekend, and then the weekend after, it's All England, juniors and sub-juniors, where I have Marley and Connor Casey competing on Sunday morning in Lincoln. So both of the lads are doing really well. So Connor has had some quite close together comps. I think I may have done videos on them. So I think one was kind of just before Christmas, one was kind of just after Christmas. I think he did the super training Christmas qualifier last year, Christmas classic last year, and then the super training qualifier at the start of this year to try and qualify for books, I think it was. So we didn't really, I don't think we were really thinking about it in the Christmas one. We were just competing. He did well. There was then maybe, I think it was like a 6 or an 8 week turnaround, which is relatively short. We added 5 kilos to his total, but we were short of the Bucks qualifying total. He is finishing uni this year, so he won't get another chance at that. I need to check if he has another year at going to junior nats for next year. I'm unsure. I don't think he does, because if he started uni, if he started uni at 18 though, 3-year course, he would be 21, so he could have 2 more years at junior nats, like attempting junior nats, which means he is the very same age as Marley, who is also 21, I believe, could be 22, I don't remember, but his training's going really well. He did the Super Training Christmas Classic with Connor. He then went out drinking and then maxed out the week after, when I let people do what they want after comp usually, and then he ended up lifting more than he did at comp. So now what we're going to do is we're going to try and get those numbers he did half pissed at Junior All Englands, but we won't be doing it half pissed. He will be just stronger and a little bit older. Connor Casey, he's had, I don't think we've really had a comp where he's got every PB in one day. It's been like, squats gone really well, bench didn't, and then deadlift have gone a bit meh. Or it's been, shit, squats didn't go as planned, bench flying, deadlifts meh. Or it's always, the last 2 comps has been a case of like, we have to push our 3rd deadlift to achieve the goal that we've come out here for, of qualifying for X competition, which requires X qualifying total. So we've never allowed ourselves to just like lift what we have for our 3rd deadlift. Here comes Junior All Englands that he's qualified for, and we're going to be doing whatever he has on each lift the best that we can, and I'm lining up for hopefully matching or hitting PBs on everything on the same day, so we should have a nice boost in total. That's about it. It's going to be a long day. Weigh-ins at 7. It's 3 hours away, so I'm going to have to leave here at 4, and then there's only 2 flights, which is good, but they're full flights, so it's going to finish 7, lift-off's at 9, let's say it's about 5 hours, so 2-ish, and then drive home for another 3 hours, so get home maybe 5, 6 o'clock. Gonna have to eat in that time, but the lads they're currently set up to do really well. They both got their last heavy session next week, and all the numbers are just slowly, gradually building. Connor will have to probably do a small gut cut, maybe 2 days. Marley's weight's fine, he's like 101, and they're both in the 105s. That's it. That's the next comp. That's all the previous comps. This has been 35 minutes. The only other thing to show you is probably the fact that I have 2 monitors now and a PC. PC's always been there, but 2 monitors. That is an update that has occurred because people were telling me that working on only 1 monitor was ridiculous. Now I've got 2. Yeah, I agree, because I'd be having emails on one and I can have programs on the other. I can do whatever. But that's all. So stay tuned for videos every time I remember that this exists.